June 6, 1944, outside Saint-Mère-Église, France. Paratroopers of the American 82nd Airborne Division have been driven from a bridgehead they recently captured by a major German counterattack. As German armor rumbles forward, the lead tank stops short of the bridge, and the commander appears from the hatch to inspect the approach. The Americans respond with a volley of machine gun and small arms fire. The shot strikes and kills the German tank commander. Amidst the fighting, an American bazooka team emerges from near the bridge.
The bazooka is absolutely a vital piece of equipment. For any airborne commander, you basically have light infantrymen who are armed with machine guns and rifles. The bazooka is one way that you can probably take out a tank and kind of equalize the situation.
Private First Class Lenold Peterson and Private Marcus Heim set up their attack.
It's a two-man operation. One man gets aim and stands with this rocket launcher on his shoulder, and the other one loads the rocket.
German tank replies with a round in their direction.
They're only 50 yards or so from that lead tank, which is trying to kill them. At the same time, they have to stand out in the open, and they manage to get off a number of rounds. It's absolutely incredible, the cool that it took on Peterson's part to do that.
They continue to calmly fire until they immobilize the first tank. They move forward to attack the second German tank as well, and manage to set it ablaze. But as a third German tank approaches, Heim and Peterson realize they're almost out of rockets. They know the only way to hold off this attack is to keep firing. Peterson sends his loader Heim to locate more of the projectiles. The private bolts across the road, dodging bullets fired from both sides of the bridge. Heim expects to find another bazooka team there, but instead he finds a dead paratrooper. Undeterred, Heim uncovers some remaining rockets. Rushes back to Peterson. The bazooka men resume their attack, and with the aid of a 57mm anti-tank gun, knock out the third and final German tank. With their armor in flames, the German infantry retreat back across the causeway. For now. Brigadier General James Gavin returns to assess conditions at the manoir. He concludes another counterattack is inevitable, and Lafayette will need extra attention.
General Gavin is sort of migrating back and forth between Chef DuPont and Lafayette. Communications aren't very good. So it's important now here to have what he is, a young, dynamic commander who is going to be in the thick of combat and also somehow try to sort out what's going on in an extremely confusing situation.
He sets up a command post at the road behind the manoir, so now he can move between the two bridges and make decisions as needed. Gavin also assigns a new battalion commander to oversee the defense of Lafayette Bridge, to replace the one killed during the earlier fighting. Gavin tells the new battalion commander, Lieutenant Colonel Mark Alexander, and A Company Commander Lieutenant John Dolan, to hold their positions at all costs. Gavin and his superior, Major General Matthew Ridgway, decided that even if the D-Day landings have somehow failed, the 82nd will fight to hold their objectives in defiance of the German resistance.
as most of D-Day unfolds, they don't really know what's going on at Utah Beach. I think it's worthwhile to step back and think about the uncertainty of that first 10, 12, 14 hours of the invasion and what that means for Gavin and the other leaders.
Now in the morning hours of June 7th, the Germans open up again with mortar and artillery fire.
Initially, the Germans are shocked and surprised, but very soon they regroup, and so the pressure is building up in this area, and the Germans are trying to push back the Allies into the sea.
Private First Class Peterson and Private Heim jump into action again as another German tank rumbles forward. Once more, the American bazooka men neutralize the first tank. But this time, the German infantry finds cover and returns fire.
One thing the Germans did differently on June 7th is they put the infantry up front. The Panzer Grenadiers held the ground for a long time, even after their tanks were destroyed.
Under pressure, American casualties increase.
Command of one of the platoons falls to Sergeant William Owens, who is older than most of the paratroopers. He'd been a drill press operator in civilian life.
Owens dashes out of his foxhole and fires into the advancing Germans. When his machine gun overheats, Owens retrieves a Browning automatic rifle, or BAR, from a wounded soldier and continues his single-minded assault. Until he is out of bullets. But the German attack has reduced Owens' platoon to only 15 fighters and a shrinking ammunition supply. As the Germans close in, his men ask their sergeant to withdraw. But that is not a call for Owens to make, and he must follow orders.
The only way Owens has to communicate with his boss, Lieutenant Dolan, is by word of mouth. He sends an 18-year-old paratrooper named Bob Murphy. Murphy runs to Dolan.
Murphy tells Dolan about their casualties and lack of ammunition, and asks for permission to withdraw. Dolan writes a reply for Sergeant Owens. Murphy picks his way through the fighting to the sergeant.
Lieutenant Dolan, the commander of A Company, sends back a very clear message with young Murphy. He says, "We stay. There is no better place to die."